Welcome to Unseen Poland, a journey into the hidden heart of the Polish mountains. This is a tale of nature's quiet harmony, the secrets whispered by history, and the human stories that weave a unique mosaic, often overlooked, quietly waiting in the shadows. In the far southeast of Poland, nestled in the valley of the Low Beskids, lies the village of Zindranowa, a place where time seems to move at its own pace. Surrounded by a patchwork of meadows, pastures and wooded hills, it offers a landscape that may appear ordinary, but is steeped in meaning. Just a few kilometers from here, tucked away in a quiet valley wrapped in forest, a small waterfall hides in Dożyce. It's not grand, just a few meters high, but it radiates a kind of raw, natural energy that makes you pause without even realizing it. Water tumbles down steep, slate ledges, spreading into a wide, white ribbon, shimmering in sunlight or dissolving into the morning mist. You might hear the song of a wren, the rhythmic knock of a woodpecker, or if you're lucky, the soft crunch of a deer passing by. On the weathered wall of an abandoned barn, a face slowly emerges, barely visible in the shadows of the old wooden planks, yet impossible to ignore. It's a mural by Arkadiusz Andrzejkow, an artist who has spent years painting portraits of those long gone, breathing life back into the walls of forgotten rural buildings. But this is no ordinary decoration. In the eyes staring back from these faded portraits, local villagers recognize familiar faces, grandparents, neighbors, long-lost expressions captured in time. In the valley of the Low Beskids, Orthodox churches rise like stones of memory. Sometimes the only trace left of villages that have vanished from the map. Built by the Lemko community, they were more than places of worship. They were the beating heart of spiritual life, gatherings, stories and songs passed down through generations. Their wooden walls crowned with towers reaching above the treetops blend the soul of Eastern Christianity with the craftsmanship of local hands. For centuries, these churches stood as guardians of language, of tradition, of identity. In the village of Brunary Wyżne, one of the most treasured churches in the Low Beskids still stands. A Greek Catholic temple from the late 18th century, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a classic example of Lemko ecclesiastical architecture, tripartite in form, with a chancel, nave and narthex aligned along a single axis. Above the entrance rises a tower, and three domes crowned with crosses mark the sky. The building itself is a masterpiece of proportion and detail. Its shingled roofs flow downwards like layered pages of history, while the slender tower, topped with a bulbous dome, rises gracefully above the surrounding landscape. Tucked even deeper into the forest, in a quiet clearing near Olchowiec, stands a Greek Catholic church dedicated to the transfer of the relics of St. Nicholas. It is one of the rare places where the spiritual tradition of the Lemko people is still alive, not just remembered, but lived. This is a Western Lemko-style church, lower and more compact than others, built in the traditional log construction using massive beams of fir and larch. Its three-part structure is clad in wooden shingles, with cascading roofs that seem to echo the folds of the surrounding hills.
Dukla to średniowieczne miasteczko położone w sercu Beskidu Niskiego, które ma bardzo ciekawą historię związaną z dawnymi mieszkańcami, z Łemkami i Żydami. To również ciekawa historia pogranicza polsko-słowackiego. Dzięki Marii Amalii Zbirów-Mniszchowej oraz jej mężowi Jerzemu Augustowi Wandalinowi-Mniszchowi Dukla wygląda do dziś przepięknie, bo mamy budynki, które zachwycają swoją architekturą. Jest to właśnie m.in. kościół Farny, kościół i klasztor ojców Bernardynów, pustelnia świętego Jana z Dukli oraz pałac dukielski, który był ich ważną rezydencją. Teren Beskidu Niskiego to również przepiękne drewniane cerkiewki, między innymi w Chrowej, w Olchowcu i w Zawadce Rymanowskiej. Są też murowane w Zyndranowej, w Barwinku oraz w Czcianie. Teren Beskidu Niskiego to wiele ciekawych szlaków, między innymi szlak na Górę Cergową, którą tutaj mam z tyłu. Polecam szlak żółty, rozpoczynający się w Dukli przy dworcu autobusowym. Wyruszamy najpierw drogą asfaltową, później od takiego małego miejsca parkingowego przez las, rezerwat Tysiąclecia, obok Złotej Studzienki wyruszamy na szczyt góry, gdzie jest wieża widokowa, skąd można podziwiać przepiękne widoki, a przy dobrej pogodzie zobaczyć nawet Tatry.
This region is also a natural treasure trove. It is home to the Magura National Park, the Jashlika National Park, several nature reserves and protected monuments, including the picturesque Ivla waterfalls, made famous in the film Strawberry Wine. The Low Beskids are a true playground for outdoor enthusiasts. Hiking trails, cycling routes and even a horseback trail weave through the hills and valleys. At the Sports and Recreation Centre in Dukla, visitors can rent mountain bikes, MTBs or electric bikes, perfect for exploring the area and for getting a little help on those uphill climbs. But make no mistake, the Beskids can be demanding. Still, there's something here for everyone. Gentle scenic trails that echo the forgotten stories of old Lemko villages, and more challenging routes like the one to Mount Segova that rewards strength and stamina with breathtaking views. The southern part of the region also holds a deeply moving, often painful history, that of the Lemko people. Displaced during Operation Vistula, their legacy lives on in the traces they left behind. Today, their culture can still be experienced at the Lemko Culture Museum in Zindranova, and today in the Memorial Room in Olchowiec, places where memory is preserved with quiet dignity. Here in Zindranova, nestled among the Carpathian Hills, stands one of the most meaningful places of remembrance in this region, a modest museum that has managed to preserve the spirit of a vanished world. To truly understand its significance, we must return to the beginning. The Lemkos are one of the oldest Russian-speaking peoples in Europe. For centuries, they lived in the mountain belt of the Carpathians, on the borderland of Poland, Slovakia and Ukraine. Their villages scattered through narrow valleys, pulsed with the rhythm of pastoral life, prayers in wooden churches, songs in their own language, and daily work tied to the land. They celebrated according to the Julian calendar and carried on a culture rich in tradition, song and faith. But all of this was brutally disrupted in the aftermath of World War II. In 1947, as part of Operation Vistula, more than 30,000 Lemkos were forcibly removed from their ancestral homes. It was a military campaign orchestrated by Poland's communist authorities aimed at dispersing ethnic minorities, primarily Ukrainians and Lemkos, across the western and northern territories of the country. The goal was simple: to crush local resistance and to erase a culture. Many of those who were displaced never returned, and many villages vanished from the map. The museum in Zindranova is more than a collection of everyday objects, clay pots, wooden spoons, embroidered garments, icons and farming tools. It is, above all, a living house of memory, a place where the past is told by someone for whom it never truly ended. Miss Maria, a native Lemko, has cared for the museum for years. She welcomes visitors not only with knowledge, but with emotion, with memories that still carry the weight of silence, longing, and resilience. Every room in this humble hesja has its own rhythm, its own scent. Dried herbs hanging from the beams, sacred icons near the entrance, and faded photographs of children by the stove. It is not just a space that preserves, it speaks of displacement, of return, of forbidden songs whispered in kitchens long after they were outlawed. When you visit this place, you feel as if time has stood still, not because it was forgotten, but because someone chose to remember what is fragile and worth keeping.
Warto spróbować u nas kuchni regionalnej, która zachęca do tego, żeby wykorzystać zioła, które mamy na łąkach i w ogrodach.
The cuisine of the Low Beskids draws on what has grown wild here for centuries, in forests, meadows and quiet valleys. In summer, clusters of wild grapes ripen under the sun, and in autumn, the forest floor comes alive with porcini, saffron milk caps and slippery jacks.
Jesteśmy w Beskidzie Niskim, w centrum Beskidu Niskiego, za nami góra Cergowa, największa góra tutaj, którą ja widzę z mojego tarasu. Miejsce pachnące, Beskid Niski, ziołami naturalnymi. Teraz się do ziół wraca, do tego, co gotowali nasi przodkowie. A dzisiaj prezentujemy Państwu, ponieważ są już młode liście winogron, więc robimy gołąbeczki w liściach winogron z ziołami, pierogi rusińskie z czosnkiem niedźwiedzim. Czosnek niedźwiedzi jest tutaj przygotowane pesto, zbierane w marcu i zrobiłam takie ala podpłomyki, które dziadkowie robili, też z czosnkiem niedźwiedzim i z bluszczykiem kurdybankiem. I jeszcze tutaj do poczęstowania będę miała jesienne rydze, które zbierałam sama tutaj, bo Beskid Niski słynie właśnie z rydzy, z dużej ilości grzybów, więc też będziemy serwować. No i są truskaweczki, letnia lemoniada z nagietków, z bluszczyka, z róży, która teraz pachnie cały ogród. Kuchnia beskidzka to jest kuchnia prosta. W restauracji, którą jestem szefem kuchni, prowadzę autorską kuchnię, serwujemy naszym gościom przybywającym zupę z pokrzyw, bo tych pokrzyw jest u nas bardzo dużo.
The forest here moves to its own rhythm, quiet, unhurried. It hums with birdsong, the rustle of leaves and the scent of resin. Time slows down in these hills and everyday life gives way to simple rituals, walking, picking herbs, tending the garden. In many of these valleys, people still live as they have for generations, in rhythm with the seasons, close to the land, far from hurry. Though the region is sparsely populated, many families have chosen to stay, embracing a quiet, rural life. Wood fires warm their homes, shops and clinics may be miles away, but so is the noise of the modern world. And soon, we'll arrive at a very special place, hidden deep in the forest, the monastery of the Sisters of Nazareth in Comancha. Deep in a forest valley, far from the main roads and well-trodden paths, stand the Convent Sisters of Nazareth, a wooden building raised in 1928 in the Alpine style, nestled among beech trees and a simple garden. For decades it was home to a quiet religious community and a silent witness to a chapter of Polish history. It was here, between 1955 and 1956, that primate Stefan Wyszyński was held in isolation. Interned by the communist regime, he spent nearly a year within these walls. A time not only of confinement, but of profound reflection. It was here that he wrote parts of his prison notes, now considered among his most personal and powerful writings. Horses have roamed the meadows and country trails of the Low Beskids for generations. Once they were essential to everyday life, pulling carts, working the land, and connecting distant mountain settlements. Today, their role has changed, but their presence remains. They are companions to travelers and living symbols of mountain freedom. Several riding centers now operate across the region, offering horseback treks, beginner lessons, and longer expeditions for experienced riders. The trails lead through wildflower meadows, across streams and into wooded hills. Riding in the saddle, you begin to feel the rhythm of the landscape, its flow, its texture, its scent. Even familiar places reveal themselves anew when seen from horseback. Between the hills, where asphalt gives way to dirt tracks, life unfolds, as if untouched by time. Small farms with wooden barns, gardens thick with raspberries and old apple trees, yards where chickens wander and dogs nap in the sun. This is daily life for those who have chosen a slower rhythm. In recent years, agritourism has found its place in these valleys. Old homes, lovingly restored, have opened their doors to guests, offering not just a bed and a meal, but a glimpse into rural life. For many visitors, it's a first. Milk straight from the cow, eggs still warm from the nest, or simply a quiet seat on a wooden bench looking out at the hills. This is tourism without hurry, rooted in place, grounded in truth. Here, many things are still done the way they were generations ago. Bread is baked in stone ovens, herbs are gathered by hand, goats graze in meadows, and chickens roam free. Tucked away in a valley between the gentle slopes of the Low Beskids stands the Church of St. Michael the Archangel in Regetovo, one of the region's most iconic examples of wooden sacred architecture. Built in 1813, it retains the classic tripartite design: a narthex, a nave and a chancel, each topped with a tower crowned by an onion-shaped dome. Every line and curve echoes the long-standing Lemko tradition, a culture where faith and landscape have always been inseparable. Step inside and you enter a half-lit world where warm light spills through small windows. The wooden walls seem to breathe with memory. At the heart of it all, a richly carved iconostasis, glowing with golden color. Much of the interior remains remarkably well preserved, a testament to the care of the local community and the dedication of conservators who, over the years, have worked to protect the heritage of this quiet corner of the Carpathians. Between the hills, the landscape opens once more. The fields fade, and in their place stands a solitary church, quietly watching over the spot where a village once lived and breathed. No daily path leads here anymore, and yet it's a place worth finding, for the silence, for the memory, for the history etched in wood and in stone. Amid wild meadows where once a village thrived, stands the wooden church of St. Demetrius, the last visible trace of Chana, a village that no longer exists. Built in 1764, it has endured the passing of time as a quiet witness to the lives and cultures that once shared these hills. Its silhouette rises from the earth, modest yet solemn, rooted in the landscape, in perfect harmony with the silence that surrounds it. The church's form is simple, but the craftsmanship is remarkable. 3 towers, steep shingled roofs, dark weathered timber walls. Though long abandoned, it still holds a quiet dignity. The interior, rarely open, conceals an 18th century iconostasis, alongside faded paintings and hand-carved details lovingly preserved by conservators. Chana vanished from the map after 1947, when its people were uprooted during Operation Vistula. The houses were dismantled or simply fell. Life disappeared into the grass and underbush. Today, no paved road leads here. There are no signs, no tourist trails. To find this place, you have to know it's here. Lake Klimkovskie is an artificial reservoir created in the 1990s to manage water retention in the region. Today, it has taken on a gentler role, a quiet place for rest and recreation. You can paddle here in a canoe or on an SUP board, or simply sit by the water's edge and let the stillness do its work. The area remains peaceful and rarely crowded. It's a place made for slow walks, quiet fishing, or a pause in the middle of a journey. Sometimes all you need is a bit of calm by the water. Some valleys are quieter than others, not because nothing happens there, but because they remember more than words can hold. Villages that once echoed with life now live only on maps and in the stories of those who return, to place a cross, to light a candle, to remember the scent of hay in summer. These are places where time moves more slowly, where history lingers in the landscape, in the crumbling walls, in what remains of wooden homes. Many of the people are gone, but their presence is still here, in traces, in memory, in silence that speaks.